I'm getting really bored of doing this fucking thing. I typed about 7 pages out on Facebook, then I pressed delete by mistake. Then I started doing a YouTube video, and then I pressed the X button up in the corner thinking I was closing down one window, and I was closing down the video I'm recording video, and it's closed it down. So that's twice now. Third time lucky. I really hope this fucking thing doesn't go wrong this time. Anyway, Steve Alexander, Facebook, blah, 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 mouthing off, going about nonsense, complete, fabricated, imagined nonsense. He says, this is Steve speaking, I'll comment in between. He says, not only do I find it rather ironic that after all these years of being the target for Reporter Crop Circle Formation's Facebook page regarding my philosophy on crop circles and being targeted as a con man and a profiteer and gaining immoral earnings, we not only have the balloon UFO episode, Andrew Perker thing he's talking about, to swallow, and the immoral earnings gained from that, but we have the Matthew Williamses out there who works for the Crop Circle Connector doing commercial photography from his microlight. I don't do commercial photography. Don't make money out of it, Steve. So money is gained from the press news agency that he sells his images to, and this is classed as commercial photography. End of. So it's okay for these people to do this, but not for me. Well, Steve, you are commercial, right? You do books, photos, calendars, blah, you do the works, yeah? I'm not commercial. I give my photos away. I've been telling you this, but you don't listen. I give my photos away because I can, yes? When you have your own microlight, you can fly cheaply like you would drive a car. It's not that expensive. So therefore, you know, when I go out flying, which I'm perfectly allowed to do, perfectly within the law, I can take photos, I can give them to the Crop Circle Connector, and I give them to the Southwest News Service press agency, and you can check with them whether or not I've been paid, because I can guarantee you I have not. Crop Circle Connector do not have money to pay people. This is crazy. When have Crop Circle Connector website ever paid anyone for articles they submitted or photographs they've submitted? This is absolute lunacy. Now, Steve, please don't tell me that you've been around for long enough to know that the Crop Circle Connector don't pay people. Where are you getting this from? Yeah? Are you just making this up to be a twat? Or are you making this up because you genuinely believe it? I can't believe you believe it because you know the Crop Circle Connector too well. Yes? So I must believe that you're doing it to be a twat. Okay? So anyway, Steve then goes on to say, when I received a letter from the CIA regarding my flying photography activities a few years ago, I was the only one flying legally. Bullshit, because I fly legally too. I had to fill out the details of every flight I took that year, who I flew with, aircraft number, the lot, while the Matthew Williamses are flying around completely ignoring the regulations. Yeah. Well, do you know what? I've never been questioned about my flying, and do you know why? Because there's nothing the CIA can say to me about my flying unless somebody can provide them with some proof that I have been commercially flying. Please do, you know, knock yourself out, Steve. If you want to show them how I'm making money out of this, I'd be very interested to see how you could do that. Okay? So, anyway, he says, and not only that, much was gained from pointing the finger at me for reporting people to the Civil Aviation Authority. This is the third time I was accused of reporting people to the CIA. Strange that. Well, it's not actually you, is it, Steve? It's the helicopter pilots that you employ to fly you around. Those guys, when you've got your headsets on and you're flying from Andover or Shoreham, you know, Fast Helicopters, the company that takes you up, when you're flying from A to B and you're chitty-chatting with the pilot and you're telling him about all these bloody people who are flying cheap, you know, and taking their photos and ruining your business and all that, see, the heli pilot is listening to all that. Now, the only thing in question here is whether or not you egg him on to report it to the CIA, or whether he just reports it to the CIA because he's feeling aggrieved, yeah, at all these other people who are flying from microlight schools, you know, doing it, you know, on the verge of what you could consider as whether or not it's legal or not, whether it's a training flight or whether or not these are repeat flyers, you know, going up on multiple occasions, therefore it not being a training flight. Yeah, that's the game, that's the playing field, yeah? But if you go telling a helicopter pilot that that's what's going on, is there any surprise that he's going to report it to the CAA, and all these schools and yourself are going to get questioned about this illegal type of flying that may be going on? Hey, Steve, rewind, matey. Who reported them? Fast helicopters. Who do you fly with? Fast helicopters. What's the likelihood here, Steve? Right? Would fast helicopters have reported these to the people to the CAA if it wasn't for you being around, knocking about, flying about with fast helicopters? Of course it. Steve, the circle of probability of how that came about is connected to you. It's not you, but it is connected to you. Okay? Do we need to be more clear now? Yes? Right. Steve then says, with all this illegal flying going on, earning money from immoral balloon video activities going on, which he's trying to refer to Andrew Perker, I believe there, and with why don't these noisy neighbours just keep their mouths shut? No, they have to constantly have a go. Perhaps it's the celebrity status within the crop circle community they like. You know, sort of crop circle royalty. Perhaps this is all they've got in their lives. The tabloid postings to the RACCF and Matthew Williams's are put there to hurt people. You know, what is hard to swallow is the hypocrisy. Whiter than white, these individuals know. Not a great platform from which to attack other people. Well, no, I'm not whiter than white because I used to be a circle maker, so that makes me a bad boy. Yeah. You know, I'm quite vocal because I feel that people need to know the truth about the crop circle. So I tell them that they're making crop circles, and I help people to understand that. You know, so that's my shaky platform. Okay, Andrew Perker. Is it a blimp? Is it a UFO? You know, only Andrew Perker can tell you that. Yeah, and if he thinks it's a UFO, what can you say? You know, we can all scream and shout saying we think it's a blimp. Yeah, but if Andrew chooses to think it's a UFO and he can't see it, then that's entirely up to him. Yes, and you know, I don't see why keeping on shouting and shouting about this bloody UFO footage, which, to be honest, it's like UFO blimp, I don't care, to be honest, because it wasn't exactly the most impressive piece of footage out there. It didn't exactly drop bombshells when it arrived, and you know, most people who saw it didn't think that much of it, so then they left it alone. Now it's like, oh yeah, you know, Charlie Mallett saying, you know, that Andrew Perker is a bad person. He knew it was a blimp and all this sort of thing. It's like, well, you know, at the end of the day, it's really down to him what he says he saw, you know, and you know, you can have your opinions and other people can have their opinions about what he says he saw, but ultimately, if he wants to say that, you know, a cloud in the sky is a UFO, that's between him and whoever he's giving the footage to. You know what I mean? It's like if they want to accept that footage and run with it, yeah, and then now you're complaining that everyone is kind of like, you know, everyone is badly served by the fact that Andrew Perker put that out. It's like, well, surely, you know, the people who took that footage on board and ran with it and helped promote it. I mean, you know, questions should be asked about why are they doing that too? You know, why would that happen? I mean, you know, it's just like, God alive, I'm fed up of hearing the bloody bickering about this. At the end of the day, wasn't that much of a, you know, sort of spectacle, this piece of footage. And now, as far as I can see, the only reason this has been dragged out of the cupboard, that we'd all forgotten about this, it's a long old story and it's been dealt with, yeah, but now it's being dragged up because Charlie Mallett doesn't like the fact that Andrew Perker has had a go at him on a page, you know, and therefore, you know, this is the best that Charlie has got, and I'm, you know, it's boring, it's pathetic. It's like Steve coming along. I mean, you know, how many times have you said that I'm making money, Steve, out of these photos? Yeah, you know, I still haven't seen any evidence I'm still hearing you saying it, but it's like we're stuck in a fucking loop. We're stuck in a loop here. And we were, I'm just wondering, in 2 years fucking time, is Steve Alexander still going to be saying, Matt Williams is making fucking money? I tell you what, right? Here's a bombshell for you, right? Here's a fucking bombshell for you. Are you listening now? Everybody on YouTube, listen. This is the bit of the video you really want to listen to, okay? Steve Alexander, okay, has been paying circle makers in the past and this year, right, to tip him off about where circles are going to be. Steve Alexander, right, definitely, right, I've heard about it, right, rumour from previous years. I actually had direct interaction this year, seeing that happen, right? Somebody was witness to a circle maker, right, saying that he had been paid, right? And I basically have interviewed this person, listened to their story. This circle maker says he was paid by Steve Alexander to tell him where the circles would be. And this person saw the circle maker going to a cash point and actually, being happy withdrawing the money that was there from Steve that had been deposited in his account. Yes? So, Steve Alexander is quick to point out that Matthew Williams is getting the photos before everyone else, he's getting the photos before everyone else. Well, Matt Williams happens to be an ex-circle maker. So Matt Williams, of course, he's going to know where the fucking circles are. You know this, Steve, right? I mean, of course I know where the circles are going to be, yeah? But guess what? I get that because I'm friendly with circle makers. You get it, right? Because you're paying people, yeah? And not only that is that fucking immoral, right, on some levels, but, you choose to put on conferences where you do not discuss these facts. You don't talk about the fact that you do this, Steve, yeah? It's like, you think you're whiter than white. It's like, I'm not saying I'm whiter than white. I'm saying I'm absolutely up to my fucking head in it. Yes, abso-fucking-lutely. I get tipped off and I go and fly over crop circles because I know they're going to be there. Yeah, you pay people to be tipped off to know where the fucking crop circles are going to be so you can fly over them. And you've been getting there very early this year, haven't you? Because you've been getting the tip-offs very early, possibly even the night before. So you know when things are coming down straight away, don't you, Steve? You know when they're coming down because you've been flying real early this year. And guess what? He's complaining. Steve is complaining that I'm trying to control the subject, and trying to get to the top. Hey, I haven't even had a fucking aircraft this year, right? My aircraft stopped working at the beginning of the year. So how are all these people, right, making out that I am out there, profiting? Where am I fucking profiting? What, is this a historical argument you're putting forward, Steve? Because it wasn't true then, and it definitely isn't true now, because I haven't been taking any photos, because I don't have a fucking microlight. It's broken, and I can't afford to fix it. And I can't afford to fix it, because I haven't got any money. Stevie boy. Matt Williams rolling in the profits of fucking crop circle photography. You're having a fucking laugh, mate. I can't afford to fucking fix my fucking aircraft. I can hardly fucking afford to fix my car. And I can hardly, most months, fucking afford to pay the fucking rent. Yeah? So, get over it, mate. Get over it. You might be, titillating some people out there with this nonsense. But honestly, man, for fuck's sake, get your facts straight. Anyway, right, let's see if he's got anything else to say that is of any import, because so far it's been complete fucking fantasy. And, it's like out of a fictional novel. He says, I think you can trace the decline in everything connected to crop circles the day JG, which is Julian Gibson, came on the scene, with all this hanging out at the barge, linking up with the circle makers so you could get the photos first for the crop circle connector. Well, that's kind of what happens if you do hang out at the barge and you befriend circle makers, is we will offer to help you out. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what I'm doing by taking photos and giving them free of charge to the crop circle connectors. I'm helping him out. But you know why I help him out? Because I like him. And do you know why I've never tipped you off, Steve? No, I don't. I'm not even going to say it. But work it out for yourself. It's because Julian is doing it because he's a nice guy. Yeah? So why am I not giving you the tip-offs then, Steve? And why would I be giving them to Julian and the Crop Circle Connector? Possibly because they do it for honourable reasons. They're putting them up there free of charge. It's a place that everyone can put their stuff up. Yeah? No bitching, no fighting, just photographs and reports. Yeah? Do you think that Charlie Mallett would accept photos from Matt Williams? You know, the Crop Circle Connector is the place you do this. Yeah? And you're saying that the day that Julian Gibson came on the scene, you know, and the Crop Circle Connector, listen, mate, it's getting very boring now. You and Charlie and Monique going on this fucking hamster wheel of Crop Circle Connector wankers, Crop Circle Connector wankers, money, 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 money. They make money. Crop Circle Connector make money. Matt Williams makes money. Crop Circle Connector. And you are repeating it like a fucking mantra because you think, I honestly think you think that by repeating it enough times like a mantra that people are going to start going, oh yeah, well of course the Crop Circle Connector make money because they is like, you know, making loads of money, you know. No, people who put adverts on the Crop Circle Connector, just about that money covers just about the hosting charges for the website, which is a heavily visited website. Yeah, you know all this, Steve, by the way. Yeah, it's a heavily visited website. It costs a fortune to run. So people who advertise on the Crop Circle Connector, most of their money is soaked up into the charges of the site. And some of it is supplemented by Mark Fazell out of his own pocket, yeah, to keep the site going. Yeah, now, aren't we lucky that Mark is a nice guy doing that? Yeah, but you choose to just attack him without even bothering to sort of find out the full details. You're putting in Julian Gibson now into this whole thing, you know. He says that the whole Crop Circle thing is being demystified and stripped bare of any mystery and insight. Right? So what are you saying, Steve? Right? That's a wrong thing to do? Hang on. I will repeat for you now again, right? Steve is saying, yeah, that circles have been, to a degree, demystified and in the process stripped bare of any mystery and insight. Well, is that not the thing that should be happening? It's called like truthful kind of, you know, truthful reporting. And I don't think it's really the Crop Circle Connector doing that, mate, because if you look on there, most of the people who write articles for the Crop Circle Connector are actually people who believe in crop circles. Have you actually been? Let me just ask this question. Have you actually fucking been on the fucking Crop Circle Connector recently, Steve? Or in the last 20 years? Because I think if you went on there, you'd realise that there's not much on there talking about man-made circles and who made them, and you know, they don't highlight human demonstrations. In fact, human demonstration circles, if I remember correctly, don't actually get published on the Crop Circle Connector. They ignore them, right? They're not considered, you know, the real kind of thing, yeah? So they don't get published, you know? I've done demonstrations that are not on there, yeah? But according to Steve, you know, they're stripping it bare, revealing all the mysteries and destroying all the you know, intrigue. And it's like, well, we know why you're saying this, Steve, because you make money out of the subject, yeah? And this is hurting your business because when people know the truth, they walk the other way, yeah? Which is why this summer your Crop Circle conference suffered. You had to move the venue. They had to move their venue for the Crop Circle summer lectures from being in the large Corn Exchange building in Devizes, and they had to move it to the smaller Town Hall in Devizes, which is a quarter, a fraction of the size. And this was because of bad turnout. You know, now, is that because people are learning the truth about crop circles? Could be. And is it wrong that people learn the truth about crop circles? I don't think so. I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, I think the people have a right to know the truth. And, you know, what Steve's basically saying is, I believe he's saying is, oh, couldn't we just go back to the way it was, you know, before all these people were telling him how it's done, so I can make a bit more money. I want to make some money. Money for me. Me now, I need to make my money. Fucking hell. It's pathetic. It really is just pathetic. So anyway, people, this is Steve again, people have to understand how driven the CCC are to get the images first. Julian Gibson is the bully boy used to intimidate people. Hang on, let's just take those two sentences, right? Yes, the crop circle connector are keen to get photos early. Why? Because the farmers cut them out. And guess what's happened this year? 'Cause Matt doesn't have an aircraft. The farmers have been cutting them out, which means you don't have photos. So, with Steve in charge, you know, Commander Steve and his heli fleet, who can't get up there early, you're losing photos of the circles. Yes, because Matt isn't up there this year, yeah? And what's wrong with Matt getting up there nice and early if it means you get your photos, yeah? So let's just throw that piece of attitude of yours out, Steve, because it just doesn't make any logical fucking sense, okay? Now, Julian Gibson is a bully boy used to intimidate people. Fucking hell. The guy is built like a fucking stick. You know, it's like, you know, there's no muscle on this guy, right? I don't see him as being intimidating in any way, shape or form. In fact, you know, he hasn't even been in Wiltshire hardly at all this year, you know. How is he intimidating people? You know, come on, let's have some examples, Steve, because this is the thing. You know, you make a lot of these statements. Let's have some actual examples. Who's been intimidated by Julian Gibson? Who's been intimidated, Steve? Can we just have one name of somebody who's been intimidated by Julian Gibson? One name, please? Pretty please? What's he doing, Steve? Is he intimidating them from his house in bloody Chobham over in Kent or Surrey or wherever it is? Was he doing it telepathically? He gets in his chair, settles himself down. I'm intimidating you telepathically through the airwaves. I am Julian Gibson with the psychic powers. I intimidate you. How? Who? When? Where? How? The guy isn't even in Wiltshire. How's he fucking intimidating people? For fuck's sake, Steve, get a grip. You're starting to sound a little bit on the fucking edge here. Right? Christ. And then he says, Monique was a target as she was getting information first. She wasn't getting information first. You know, flying early and spotting the formations before they could. Well, you know, good for her. I mean, she spends a fuckload of money every year to fly every single day, so she does hit the mark sometimes because she gets formations that, you know, I don't know every single team that's out there making them, and some people choose to not tip me off. Either they forget or they don't want to tip Matt Williams off because they just don't want to do it on that occasion, so they just don't tell me. Therefore, I wouldn't be flying that formation, and if it wasn't for somebody like Monique, that may not get photographed. So I don't have a problem with Monique taking the photos as long as she publishes them. But this is the problem, isn't it, Steve? Yeah, you know, you don't acknowledge the fact that Monique takes photos and she sits on them, right? And if she thinks nobody else has managed to get a photo of it, she'll sit on it for days. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, when everybody else has published their photos, then Monique's come out, bang, 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 at exactly the same time. But she holds on to stuff, you know, so she's not, you know, she's not quite the person that, you know, like whiter than white with her daily flying. You know, she's out there to make a name for herself and keep this exclusive. If she gets hold of a photo that she thinks nobody else has got, she's like, right now, I'm Monique and I've got the photo and you all want the photo, don't you? You want the photo and I've got it. Oh dear. Bit sad. But anyway, that's what, you know, appears to be going on. And that doesn't happen with the crop circle connector. If I go flying, You know, if I go flying in the morning, get home, photographed, processed, emailed, and, you know, by the time Mark gets round to it, it's usually there, lunchtime or in the afternoon. It's pretty, you know, pretty early stuff. I mean, you couldn't do it any quicker. So, you know, why the delays? Why the delays with the stuff that comes from Monique? You know. Anyway, you know, there's loads of shit here, but I mean, it's just like, what the fuck? I mean, Steve, you really should take a good cold look at yourself when you're writing this shit. You know, you really want to take a good cold look at yourself, and you know, paying circle makers to actually provide you with tip-offs, you know, which you've done in the past. You know, you've been doing this for a while, and you now are doing it this year, and you've had tip-offs of circle makers in the past. You know, you make these claims about me, right, having been tipped off by circle makers. I've only had an aircraft over the last, you know, 5 years. You've been doing this for 20 odd years. Yeah. You've been doing this for 20 odd years. Yeah. So isn't it the pot calling the kettle black? You've been getting tipped off for a long time. I've only been getting tipped off for a little bit. Yeah. But I'm the bad guy. Yeah. It's like, it's just, this just sounds like petty jealousy from a commercial person to a person who goes out and does it for free. Yeah. I'm getting aggro and I'm getting off Mr. fucking Commercial Enterprise. Yeah. Not Starship Enterprise, but Mr. fucking Commercial Enterprise. Yeah. When I'm doing it because I believe in crop circles and I want to give it away for free. And I get fucking in the fucking neck. So, thanks for watching, and I hope now you all understand just where Steve's coming from on this. Yeah. But I hope you've had the revelation of Steve paying circle makers, because this is a new one. This is a new one, you know, actually, for me to have the direct evidence of it. Yeah. Yeah, right. Okay, well done, Steve. So think about that before posting next time, and maybe you'd like to comment on that on Facebook.